Well, hello, my name is Dennis Skarr. I'm tenured faculty here at Everett Community College, and we're going to be presenting on jumping the air gaps. Casey?
Hi, everybody. Casey O'Brien. I'm the Assistant Director of Cyber Defense and Education at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Without further ado. So this is what we're going to talk about today. It's essentially a combination of a national effort as well as a state/regional effort, Washington State, to develop capability for the higher education space, if you will, to deliver qualified technicians, operators, engineers that can move into industrial control system security jobs. And I'm personally new to the OT space. I spent the past 16 years running a cybersecurity education and workforce development consortium that helped deliver cybersecurity education nationally. When we started in 2005, there were maybe 4 or 5 schools nationally that were focused on what we called back then information assurance. And certainly was very little or almost nothing in the way of degree and certificate programs that students could major in. There was very little in the way of coordinated efforts to get faculty trained to teach information assurance, which then became information security, which we now call cybersecurity. And so it was really a necessity that drove the higher education space to create capacity, to create degrees, certificates, instructional materials, to experiment with virtual and virtual and physical environments to deliver hands-on information security, education and training, to give students external experiences, if you will, internships, developing competition. So although I'm new to the OT space, there is a lot that we can borrow from in terms of what's been done both in the education and workforce development side that we're gonna, that we can bring to sort of this national and both regional efforts. And we're gonna be using this formula throughout to look at what are some of the problems, what are some of the solutions, what is the air gap. For for us, that means the challenge of connecting students to jobs, and how will we jump the air gap? So how did academia do that? How do we connect students with jobs? And then the very last slide will end with some ways in which folks can sort of join our efforts and sort of hit the turbo boost button, if you will, to sort of help us jump the air gap. So in terms of some of the problems as it relates to industrial control system security in the higher ed space, primarily, there aren't a lot of programs. There's maybe a couple handfuls nationally at both 2- and 4-year schools. There aren't enough faculty that have real world experience and or sort of any OT experience, and it can be really expensive to build the environments needed to provide that hands-on training. And some of the solutions include standardized curricula at both the 2- and 4-year level, continued investments in R&D. In my new job at the University of Illinois, a lot of good work has been done on various test beds in the energy space. Some of you know Tim Yardley, my colleague, and he's done some incredible work in that space. Continue to invest or provide opportunities for students outside of the classroom, so internships, competitions, whatnot. In terms of the challenges with connecting students to jobs, in addition to the challenges I just mentioned, some of the larger sort of challenges just have to do with misaligned industry needs and higher education goals. What I mean by that is a number of the 4-year schools have theoretical foundations or theoretical programs, which are important if you're going to churn out engineers. But if the organizations or the industry players in a local service area want more operators or technicians with practical skills, that misalignment can be a challenge. And we're going to talk about some of the same solutions with jumping the air gaps. So real quick, this is just the organization I work with. The Critical Infrastructure Resilience Institute was stood up in 2015. It's a Department of Homeland Security Center of Excellence, and it really focuses on that first bullet is transitioning research into practice. Test beds are a really good example of that. The second bullet is developing products that get transitioned to the marketplace. And the third is really the focus of this discussion, and that is the ways in which we are taking a sort of partnered approach with industry, academia, federal government to educate and train the both the current workforce, incumbent workers, and the next generation. Over to you, Dennis.
Cool. So I'm over here in Washington State, and I've been teaching at Everett Community College now for 8 years. And we really have a dynamic mix of students here at Everett, everything from running start to worker retraining. And I really, really enjoy that environment and teaching. And, with my worker retraining students, they really bring industry experience from their backgrounds into IT. And I find that as a huge value added for anyone picking up those students, whether they were managing a restaurant or working as a machinist, they have incredible skills that they're just really skilling up, into IT. And we love kind of rebranding these students, encouraging them to kind of to go big. My style of teaching, I really like to take my experience and weave it into the fabric of the classes. Uh, Real world scenarios, tabletop exercises. We've done student pen tests here against like the Wi-Fi, simulating insider threat. And even sitting in this conference right now, I got a handful of students in Microsoft Teams, trying to get some extra credit, and following what's kind of going on in real time. You can get a lot out of the textbook, but everyone knows in this space that you learn so much online. You're continuously doing, learning from conferences and different articles. I really try and keep what's current into the classroom just to make sure I'm not teaching anything stale. Next slide. So which kind of leads, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right, so which kind of leads me to, where we are right now in the ICS security kind of pipeline. Everyone in this audience knows that there's rarely a true air gap when you're doing an ICS assessment. In my experience of trying to get things off the ground, it's really the big air gap's been between academia and industry. It's been really difficult to actually kind of get some sort of workforce development program in place. A lot of barriers to standing up that program, and it's been a challenge to kind of get industry to acknowledge that they need more positions that have some sort of security skill sets in them. Casey, you had something you want to add?
I think also, and I mentioned this earlier, some of the challenges are just that there aren't that many schools that have ICS degrees and certificates. As part of our research, I'm going to talk about sort of what we're doing for national capacity building in the next slide. But part of the research is just a survey of, okay, what 2- and 4-year schools are delivering any sort of either a degree program that focuses on industrial control system security or has a certificate. A certificate simply just means take out all the gen ed requirements that you would typically have as part of a degree and just focus on 3, 4, 5 courses in a specialization, if you will. And as I mentioned, the equipment can be really, really expensive, and it's challenging to get faculty sort of upskilled so they have the requisite knowledge and skills. And even more challenging is just finding folks who have real world experience. So.
Yeah, so the solution here for at every community college is we kind of have the right mix of everything, in order to actually start getting things off the ground. New programs, as Casey mentioned, require instructor knowledge, training materials, developing materials, student interest, and most importantly, industry demand. So, initially, like my kind of journey through workforce development into ICS, as I was looking at it across, how could we do this at the college system, I didn't have that opportunity right away. But it was my National Guard role here in Washington State that led me into development of ICS training for cyber operators. And I started to go into a curriculum development mode for our unit. We were training. I was reaching out to industry and going to conferences to kind of learn more, doing missions, and I became fairly good at ICS in this space. Although I was eager to actually kind of get something up and humming, every year I would check in at like summer hacker camp and ask the ICS security community, like, what do you think? Is this the year where, industry is going to really start hiring people? Can I start building this program? And it's always been kind of like we're almost there. It's getting better. But 2 years ago, it was totally different vibe. Overwhelming just response from people's like, yes, industry's on board, momentum's happening. And then kind of COVID happened, and now we're in a different situation from the workforce point. But what's kind of happened for us over the last year is we've got a large investment from the state to actually purchase this training material, and we have industry demand on the other side. So I'm working here to actually kind of build everything together, leveraging the investment that we have, take advantage of my background, our professional network, and really kind of build up something special.
So Dennis mentioned sort of state capacity, Washington State. He's going to talk a little bit more about that next. So in terms of national capacity building, the Critical Infrastructure Resilience Institute that I'm a part of was awarded a contract from CISA, and it includes Purdue University, Auburn University, and the University of Tulsa. And essentially the project, which will end this September, is to deliver a plan to come up with a model for a scalable national network of hub and spoke 2- and 4-year schools that will deliver initially curriculum in both incident response and industrial control system security. And so here is the picture here is just the CISR FEMA regions. And there's going to be specific emphasis on underserved population. So this contract defines underserved populations as rural areas, minority serving institutions, and will sort of gender diversity, and a big part of this overall effort will be leveraging the incredible work that's been done over the past 15-16 years in cybersecurity education nationally, but then to sort of start building capacity specifically in industrial control system security.
So here in Washington State, we're extremely fortunate with the investment that we got. The first kind of investment that we got during the initial wave was a $100,000 grant to actually, reach out to ICS Village and get our own ICS training wall. And, getting equipment can be challenging, and this was an extraordinary win for the college, and we're still like just absolutely thrilled with what we have right now in this space. And even though we can't get on campus and really use as much as we'd like to, but students are pumped for this, and we're really thankful for this. So this was like the foot in the door, and we owe a lot to a program here in Washington State called Career Connect Washington. And this is a program launched a couple years ago by Washington State Governor Jay Inslee. And the goal is to actually give young adults real life professional experience while they're in high school and college, so they can build up their skills, explore career options, and make connections, and add something to their resume. And we qualified for that immediately because we teach the industry certification, and we offer paid internships as part of our program through our different employer partners. I think it's really kind of important to actually thank Governor Jay Inslee for this opportunity. This is a big program for him and his whole Career Connect Washington team. Not only provide us $100,000 for this initial grant, but once we were actually endorsed, we received an extra $900,000 to actually build our program to the next level. And with that, I think we need to also special thanks to my dean, William Stuflick, our grants team, and Grim for the incredible work being done. We have a remarkable program that's being developed, and it was a big lift, and there's a lot of work that was done to kind of get us there. You want to jump to the next slide, Casey?
Yeah, sorry, your audio was cutting out for me, so.
Okay, thanks.
There you go, bud.
All right, cool. So here's a little bit of a glimpse of what we kind of got in the works. So far, we've received 2 5-foot sections of the wall. There's a 3rd section coming. And we have 4 of the OT trainers listed above, or shown above, like with a individual PLC that says Everett on the backsplash there. And in addition to an ICS class that we're running for the first time this spring, we're going to be offering workshops to community colleges and high school students that are interested in ICS. If industry demand for ICS skills do grow, we can easily add more technical classes with this capability. The trainers that we're getting are extraordinary for us to actually do individual and group exercises on. And then, we're working on creating really interesting capstone and scenario-based exercises with the wall. The final delivery of all the equipment will be happening over the next couple months. So we're still kind of in this development cycle. And I think with everything that we have invested in us at this point, I'm going to be in a pretty heavy development cycle all next year, really kind of ramping things up. And we, once again, in addition to the technology, we looked at the actual labor market over here, and we do have a heavy manufacturing environment over here in Washington State. Well, in Everett, we're Boeing country, and there's a lot of different aerospace manufacturers in this area that are a primary driver for our economic development in this area. So we also saw job opportunities as well. So all the pieces are kind of coming together, and we're extraordinarily excited here. In addition to what we're currently doing, our leadership's already really thrilled about this opportunity, and we're exploring an actual Bachelor's of Applied Science in cybersecurity with a cyber physical concentration that will include aviation, robotics, and medical systems.
And you'll all be able to leverage that incredible investment by supporting, for example, there may be schools that want to deliver industrial control system security in their service area. In fact, they've got industry telling them, and there's local demand, right? And so they can sort of make the case to their academic institution to create programs, but they perhaps don't have the sort of dollars that Dennis was able to put together to support, the hands-on portion. And so, Everett can leverage this investment and continue to support it and grow it by supporting other institutions that perhaps want to take advantage of their equipment and whatnot. So in terms of building faculty capacity, I mentioned this as one of the challenges, just not enough faculty with the knowledge and skills and real world experience, quite frankly, to be able to teach this. And so this is the whole faculty capacity development and professional development of educators. It's an often overlooked but critical constituency missing from various sort of national discussions around cybersecurity workforce shortages, and meaning that there's a huge demand for cybersecurity talent writ large. There's also a huge demand for qualified faculty to teach this stuff. And this is really K to gray, right? This is not just a higher education challenge. This is absolutely true in the high school space as well. And generally, the market-based solutions are not going to solve this. And so we're going to have to get creative in the higher ed space to effectively build the capacity nationally for folks to be able to teach this sort of stuff. And that will be part of our CISA-funded project, will be to raise the capability of the faculty in this country so that they can ultimately start to teach industrial control system security.
And on the capacity building, what we're working on right now is that student piece. Generating student interest. If students don't see the classes interesting or relevant to their success landing a job, they're not going to take the class. So what we're also working with is actually, priming that pump. We actually have 2 cyber challenges being developed right now, one at a high school level and the other at a college level, that both take advantage of ICS equipment and the wall behind us. And we're going to be rolling that out in spring 2020 or spring 2021. What year is it? I don't even know anymore. COVID life. Next spring, a year from now, we'll actually be offering these competitions here at EVCC. And for high school students, we really just want them to explore a lot of different things across the STEM spectrum, learning how to do ladder logic, programming, intro to Python, you know, a little bit of cybersecurity, and then they actually get to interact with these cool devices. And at a college level, you know, if you don't have an ICS program, or if you want to be competitive and you're good at cyber, but you need to actually kind of get that ICS kind of kicker, you know, you can actually enroll in one of our workshops as well prior to attending our 2-day college competition as well. And we're kind of calling this Spear, you know, where the EVCC Trojans and this Trojan Spear we thought went together well. And on these notes, you know, Spear, we wanted to kind of capture assessment and training. You know, there's a lot of buzzwords we could have kind of put into Spear to make it kind of work from the cyber side, but you know, the technology speaks for itself, and we really wanted to focus on what the student experience was. You know, our students are going to have access to equipment that normally is only available at cybersecurity conferences, and now they actually get to interact with it right here in Everett, and that's fantastic. You know, performance-based exercises is something we continuously hear from industry and our advisory board. You know, get them hands-on, get them doing something, working in teams, give them that real-world experience. And now we have that as well. Engaged, you know, they're going to be engaged in this technology and this learning process, and it's going to go beyond the classrooms. Assessment, you know, capture the flag competitions, very competitive. A great way for students to actually show, you know, what skills they have and how they can grow and kind of capture that competitive nature into, you know, into an IT environment. And then the range, you know, the range kind of speaks for itself. And then right now we're getting the word out. You know, we're working on getting interest. You know, we're reaching out to high schools. We're letting everyone know. Press releases are going out, videos. Our public relations and marketing team is working overtime, and they're doing a fantastic job. So, you know, what we actually have going right now, we are academia, and we do have our first class actually rolling out this spring. And the kind of the goal of this class was to go a little bit more broad with who we want to bring into the class, and not as technical initially. You know, this is a big overview of ICS, but we're trying to bring in OT, IT, and business all under the same class, so we can get that same language, kind of like, you know, same language, and understand the real world threats, and separate what's Hollywood threat and what's real world threat, and then kind of what is the realistic impact. You know, and there's a lot of group projects in here. They're working together in this space, and right now we're trying to get the other disciplines involved, and you know, it's working. I got an email from our mechatronics department head today saying they're going for a certificate in ICS security, and they're on board with what we're doing. You know, so that's a big win for us. You know, we're getting that IT OT convergence happening right here. You know, and we're really excited about this kind of opportunity here, and we're really looking forward to what this class could possibly springboard off into. And students. All right, so I really wanted to highlight a couple of students that we have excelling in ICS. I'm proud of all of our students who are choosing to actually get their education in the middle of a pandemic. Getting your education during normal times is a challenge. It is. You throw COVID and remote instruction on top of everything, and you know, I applaud all of their efforts. However, these two students have really shown a lot of ambition, and I think are potential leaders in the ICS security, you know, community. Carlene is new to the program. She started with us in fall, and she wanted to make sure that she takes this assessing control system class first. She wanted to be there. She's interested in this space, and she's absolutely crushing it. You know, so she's someone that's actually going to be leading the development of our competition team, and really kind of hungry for more. Chris has actually graduated, but he came back for more. So he's really interested in ICS. Tom Van Norman and ICS Village hooked us up with a whole bunch of passes for our students for RSA 365, and Tom took third place in the ICS CTF. You know, his first stab at a CTF. You know, which was awesome. And then with that, he's like, I want to do ICS. He completed the Idaho National Labs Training 301, and he wants to be a mentor for our students as we stand up these workshops and competitions. And you know, these students are, you know, what we're actually producing here in the Everett area, and I think they're value added for any business that wants to pick them up.
Absolutely. So we're nearing the end here. So the turbo boost portion of our presentation is simply just the the connection between hitting that button to get students into real world jobs. And these
Hmm.
are the ways in which you all can engage depending on your role within the organization, right, Dennis? We're always looking for advisory board
Always.
members or folks to help, validate, help us look at certain work roles and the tasks that students the learners should be able to complete, right? If we can start building curricula around tasks, right, then and ways
Hmm.
for students to demonstrate these tasks, right, and employers hiring them can be assured that these students can sort of job ready on day one,
Hmm.
right? Internships. Also, I would add externships, right, which is essentially an internship, but for a faculty. Imagine that, you got an educator that can spend, a month or 3 months over the summer or 2 months, working on on the manufacturing floor. We're looking for folks who like to either develop content or want to scrapbook, sort of pull together resources. There's a lot of really good
Hmm.
open source and material in the public domain.
Yeah,
Dennis, we're always looking for associate faculty, right?
always.
Adjuncts, yeah,
Yes.
right. I mean, folks who have real world experience and sort of have a passion
Hmm.
for education, right? And adjunct simply means you're a part timer. Guest speakers, mentors, looking for folks that want to sponsor events. Dennis is going to be running. He mentioned some capture the flags for both high school and
Hmm.
college students, right? And for a nominal cost, an employer could or an industry partner could, buy lunch or pay for t-shirts or right.
Hmm.
Always looking also for industry partners to host events, to do walkthroughs in their security operations center or in the manufacturing facility. Did I miss any, Dennis?
No, no, I just echo it, man. Like, I know there's a lot of passion and enthusiasm in this space. I've been witnessing it for like the last decade. And, right now, if you've always been interested in like contributing, like Casey and I have some big, big things that we're doing. And now's the time to reach out. Casey's got to do it at a national level. I'm focused here in Everett, Washington. But anything you can do to kind of contribute, like associate faculty, teach one class a year, amazing. Online content, if you're developing content, thank you so much. Everything from Cutaway's amazing Modbus videos to Rachel Toback's sea shanty song, have been really, really great tools for my students. That's a big hit.
Yes, it
Uh,
was.
so yeah, so those things are great, and as instructors, we thrive off of that stuff because we're busy in the classrooms trying to kind of get students groomed. Anything that the community can kind of contribute, we're extremely hungry for and we're extremely thankful for.
Well, thank you. I'm just impressed that we made it almost all the way through the entire day with the first, until we got to the first sea shanty, or I guess security shanty song, or reference. But thank you. And again, reminding everyone, please reach out, please participate, help out, be it time, resources. I mean, that's a fantastic, getting that hands-on experience for the students just provides invaluable opportunities. So thank you both for sharing about projects.